That was Anyway, one of Martina McBride's many top hits and one of my personal favorites. Now, Martina Schiff McBride grew up in the nation's heartland on a working farm in Kansas, and her father loved getting 7-year-old Martina up on stage to sing with his band, the Shifters. But it wasn't long before young Martina was singing outside the family. In fact, by age 15, she was in a local talent contest, and you sang Patsy Cline's I Fall to Pieces. Obviously an homage to your, the love of country music and what you were brought up with. But is it accurate to say that at one point you sort of rebelled against country and went rock and roll?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was a big rock and roll fan in high school. I grew up I went to high school in the 80s, so of course it was all that great 80s music, Pat Benatar and Journey and Heart. And so when I graduated from high school, I joined a rock band and traveled around a couple of different states like Kansas and Nebraska and Missouri, playing clubs with, 5 other, crazy musicians. And I was 17 years old, and I'm sure my mom and dad were completely freaked out, but they let me do it, and it was a good experience overall.
They supported, and I love the names of some of your first bands. You had the Penetrators and Private Parts. What was?
No, I wasn't in that band. That was not because I would never that.
Did you know even at the time? Did it even dawn on you that they meant anything, or
the
was
Private
it just?
Parts one did but I didn't name that band. But the Penetrators one, no. I was so naive. I mean, I really was. I just was like, oh, that's a cool name for a band.
Yeah, I mean, you were raised in a town that had, 200 people in it?
Yeah.
So you were very innocent to all of that.
Very sheltered.
And then you were out there rocking it out. Were you inspired by, obviously, Pat Benatar was one of the big
Absolutely.
famous
Yeah,
persons.
Linda Ronstadt, Pat Benatar, Journey, like I said, Heart, and Wilson of Heart. Just, I was always really just drawn to great singers.
Yeah, I bet. And so at one point I had read that you really kind of stopped, you had to stop singing rock and roll because of, you kind of hurt your voice.
Singing 5 nights a week kind of took its toll, 4 hours a night, 5 nights a week. So I did have to, I started to show some signs of strain and took some time off.
Well, were you formally trained to sing, or is this just God's given,
No, I never had any training.
So it makes sense, though, that you had to kind of figure out your limits, and thankfully you did when you were young.
Yes, exactly.
So what made you return to your country roots?
Well, during that time when I was taking some time off from singing in the clubs, I went back and sang with my dad. It just hit me that this was the kind of music where my heart really is. It's like, it's the lyrics are, so heartfelt and important, and the singer is important. And, it's not covered up by, a bunch of loud guitars and things. So it was just, all of a sudden, I just realized that my heart was in country music. And it was like a light bulb went off. I can remember the moment it happened. I said, I want to sing country music again. What have I been doing?
Was this around the time that you met your husband-to-be, John McBride?
Yeah, it was actually, I met him a little before that. I met him when I was still singing the 5 nights a week in
the rock and roll.
And he had a sound company. He owned a concert sound company. So when he would go out and provide the sound systems for touring acts, and so he had built a rehearsal hall, and I was putting a band together. And
this is in Wichita?
I needed a place to rehearse. I was cocktail waitressing and waitressing and doing all kinds of, working in a burger joint. I was doing all kinds of stuff, and I decided I wanted to put a band together, and so I needed a place to rehearse, and so I rented the space from him, and that's how we met.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have another surprise for you, and well, she has a question for you on this particular subject.
Okay.
All right, take a look.
All right.
Martina, I know your husband John proposed to you in a car while you were both parked in a lot of an elementary school. Nice and romantic, I guess, until a cop shined his flashlight into the window. So my question is, were you in the front seat or the back seat?
Katie, this is a family show. It's Sunday morning. All right, were you?
I was definitely in the front seat.
All right.
Yes, we were in the front seat.
All right, we got to take a quick break. But coming up, how Martina McBride, just like Dorothy Gale before her, dreamed of leaving Kansas to discover a whole new world. And plus, she's going to perform one of her mega anthems when Private Sessions returns right after this. Stick around. You don't want to miss it.
Let freedom ring, let the white sing.